It's Liz Danoon here, and it is so lovely to be here. Today I'm a bit cash because I'm about to head off on a road trip. Every year for about 2 weeks, my family go to a lake up in northern Victoria, and it is the best place. So I will be taking you there on my Facebook Lives, and you will be able to see. Today's the actual road trip, and I am driving our very, very old Prado, which is a Toyota four-wheel drive, and towing a trailer and taking a gaggle of kids with me and up to the lake. So that's what's happening this morning. So I'm nice and early, and I'm also pretty cash, and I'm going to be even more casual in the next few days, and I'll show you around the caravan where we stay for the next 2 weeks, and also I'll show you our special lake that we love. Now, today's topic is how some children with dyslexia and learning difficulties tend to cope at school really, really well. And I want to tell you just a little story here. So one of my very close friends from Teachers College, her name was also Liz. And I remember thinking as we went through Teachers College how incredibly smart she was. She was the person who always got her assignments in first. She worked really, really hard. She was very industrious, and she always got top marks. Now, it wasn't until years later that I was talking to my friend Liz that she revealed a whole nother side to the story, which I hadn't realised. And that was that she had actually struggled through school the whole way with learning difficulties. She said she struggled with the auditory processing side of school. She had trouble absorbing the information that teachers were telling her, taking it all in, getting it into her own mind, and then being able to cognitively engage with the information. So what she used to do was she would scribble as many notes down as she could in class, get as many handouts as she could, and then she would go home and then she would rewrite all the notes again in her own words. But she also had a secret weapon, and her secret weapon was her grandfather. In fact, she had two secret weapons. One of them was her grandfather. Now, her grandfather used to help her with all of her English books. They would read them together, they would discuss them together, and he would help her plan how she was going to write some of her English essays. Now, her other secret weapon, and this is the one none of us had any idea about, was her mum and dad realised very early on that she was somebody who struggled with school, but she had massive potential. So they hired a tutor. Now, this tutor stayed with my friend Liz between year 10 and year 12. They came in twice a week, and they helped her organise her time, her thoughts, her tasks, and her homework. So that was her absolute secret weapon. Now, by the time she got to Teachers College, where we met, she was the most organised. She was the person that if you wanted to know something about a subject or you weren't sure about a topic, you would go to her, because after she had absorbed all this information, she actually was able to talk about it in her own words so thoroughly well that you eventually just understood it, even if it was a difficult or like a scientific topic, like exercise physiology or what are those? It's just way too early for me. Anyway, because it is early here in Australia. So Liz was just one of those amazing people. She became a primary school teacher, as did I, and she went on and did really well and ran all sorts of phys ed and exercise programs for kids across a number of different private schools here in Melbourne. And then she eventually, alongside her husband, started this huge company that actually ran before and after school programs, and it did incredibly well. So incredibly smart people, her husband and herself, but that was how she got through school. And she still says to me this day, I'm not really that academically smart. I'm just great at working out how to get through the system. So what do children who do struggle with learning difficulties do? And this is not all children, but this is some incredibly smart ones. They find a way to negotiate the system to play the school game. And I've got some tips here for things that they will do. So one of them is they will develop an excellent auditory memory and they will remember everything they hear. Now, there's lots of children out there like that. They just become audio absorbers. Because they struggle with the written word, they will actually become very heightened in their senses, in their other area of their senses. And one of those can be hearing and also absorbing large chunks of auditory information. They can also have an excellent memory for whole words, meaning they don't actually need to decode the words. They just visualize them and use them as little diagrammatical images in their mind. So they're literally recognizing whole groups of visual coding. They don't decode, so they're getting around the phonics things. They also become really, really good at asking other students to help them and explain things. And this is my daughter to a T. If she's not sure about something, she's got this amazing group of supportive friends and she will ask them right down to how to spell a word when she's very quickly writing one of her essays or writing tasks at school. So they become really good at asking for help. And they will avoid being found out. There are lots of children out there who know they struggle, but they don't want to be found out. And they will find every possible shortcut to get through the system to make their life easier. And that's because they never want to be labelled as the dumb kid, because they know in their heart of hearts they are not dumb. They're actually really smart. They just don't suit the school system. So they will find ways. These are also children who will work incredibly long hours at home. They will revise their class content just like my friend Liz did. They will reread and rewrite notes, and they will do what takes other children no time at all, or maybe just 30 minutes at all. They'll take a couple of hours to do that every night. So they become incredibly hardworking. And I hear lots of stories about my friend Liz, of people like my friend Liz, who do exactly that. They may have a family member who is reteaching and assisting them at home, reading their class novels and their textbooks with them, like Liz's grandfather did. They never give up, these people, because they've actually got this amazing structure around them that they have created with the help of family support. And they use their creativity and big picture thinking to find ways to learn. So look, even if you are a child who's struggling at school, or you're a parent of a child who's struggling at school, or maybe you are a teacher of a child who is struggling at school, you can actually find ways to play the school system, to put support structures in place, to work to the child's strengths to help them. So I hope that is a great message for you as we start the 2019 school year, and I hope you have a super day. As I said to you, I will be on the road doing my road trip, and I will get up to our beautiful lake later this afternoon. Believe it or not, it is going to be about 35 degrees Celsius when we arrive. It's an incredibly hot place, but fortunately our lake is lovely and cool, and we do a lot of floating around in it. Setting up is going to be a bit challenging, but that's life. That's camping, and I absolutely love camping. So I will see you very, very soon. And in fact, I'll be talking to you tomorrow from our lake. So bye for now. Have a super day.